this is one of the only jobs you're going to find where you're encouraged to drink.
I'm your host, Jeff Sart. We're going to take you behind the scenes with the craft distillers who are pouring their heart and soul into crafting the next version of America's spirit. This is the Great American Whiskey Cookers.
Welcome to this edition of the Great American Whiskey Cookers. Today we're headed to Baraboo, Wisconsin to Driftless Glen Distillery. A number of people we're going to talk to today.
Isn't that where Barnum and Bailey Circus winters?
Yeah, it is. Why?
Do you think they have clowns there?
God, I hope not. Oh my God. Clowns. Clowns. That's the last thing I could possibly... Oh.
Welcome to Wisconsin. We're here in Baraboo, the wintering place of Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. But for our purposes, we're talking about Driftless Glen Distillery. We're going to talk about their ryes, their bourbons, and their whiskeys. This is the Great American Whiskey Cookers. So Renee, you don't come to whiskey naturally.
No.
What is it that you do?
So I am an artist, I'm a sculptor, and I do large scale pieces that are cast in bronze. I've been doing it for close to 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I have monuments that are all around the country. So I have them out in California and Florida, Illinois, all over. Usually they're either in parks or in front of veterans hospitals. I've done a lot for the veterans, and it's a great job.
So tell us a little bit about your backstory. Why are you here in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and how did you come about to this?
So Baraboo, the reason we chose Baraboo is about the water. So when people talk about bourbon and they think it's always Kentucky bourbon, it's because of the water. Well, Driftless is a region that when the glaciers melted, this is where it ended. Right here, it's called the Driftless area. So that's the reason we're called Driftless Glen. And it goes through about 700 feet of sand and limestone. So the water that we use in our products is sweet, delicious water. And that's the reason we chose Baraboo. Dave Pickerel, he was our consultant on the whole back end and putting the still together. He and Nicole Austin. The still is a Vendome still. That's another really funny story. So we built the building, and it's 26-foot ceilings, okay? So we had our contractor building it and everything, and our partner, when we ordered the still, misunderstood what the size of the still, okay? So he thought they said 16 foot.
It's not 16 foot.
But Dave Pickerel had said 60 foot.
I can see what the mistake is. I mean, I get it. It's an easy mistake to...
Serious? Okay, so...
I can see what, if you're on the phone and there's a lot of static and there's a bunch of people talking,
Maybe.
I can see where you can get 16 out of 60.
Maybe?
No, I can't. I can't.
So our contractor calls us and he says, Houston, we have a problem. We got a 60-foot still that can't fit, and Baraboo's got a limit on how high you can go up. So spoke to Vendome, and they changed the design of the still. So they took the upper part, in case you might be able to help me with the wordage on this, because this is not my expertise. And then they cut it and put it horizontally. Okay?
Really?
So we have a steeple. We have our church steeple out front. It has a still in it.
Right.
But we had to build on to our already designed distillery to hold our still. So you can see the big cranes coming in and dropping this huge still down into our steeple.
So that meant you had to get the plans reapproved by the city.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Because
beyond.
you've already got it.
Bam. Bring another million. Just saying.
But you got it in.
We got it in, and it runs great. And actually, from what I've heard, Vendome has changed the way they do it, and they actually do it like this. It's more efficient. So it's one of their, that they will design stills this way now. Yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, that was another one of his little mistakes.
You had $3 million to start.
Yeah.
Started in 2012. It's now 2023. At what point did the distillery go from being in the red to being in the black?
Well, I would say about 3-4 years ago.
Around 2019,
yeah,
2020.
Before 2020, probably 2019.
And you did that in 2000, you said 12?
2012, we started building, and we put our first barrel up in 14, and we've been producing about 1,200 barrels around there every year. We were like, go big or go home. We wanted to be a large craft distillery, all by hand, and so that's kind of the backstory of it.
If you don't mind telling me, where do your barrels come from and what are your char levels?
So we've gone through many different cooperages. We've tried a lot. And at the last 2.5 years, I think, we've been going with a cooperage. It's in Missouri. It's called the Oak. It is the company that does the wine barrels for Silver Oak. It's their cooperage. The barrels are amazing. They don't leak. And that's one of the biggest things, is that some of your barrels will leak.
Right.
And then you just watch your product going on the floor till you can get it to stop.
Right.
So pretty much, correct, these barrels don't leak.
Yeah, not nearly at the rate the old barrels did.
And so they're a lot more money per barrel, but if you keep your product, you actually are making money that way. You have to just look at it in the sense of what it would cost. But a lot of people don't want to put that expense up front. And the char level is, we usually do, it's 3 or 4, depending.
Okay. So you'll modify that depending on the product that you're going to put into it.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding you correctly.
Well, we'll order certain ones, it's either 3 or 4 char.
Okay. What's your barrel entry proof? Do you have a
117.
Yep.
117
Yeah.
is your barrel entry proof?
Yes. So going back to the water, we use that sweet, delicious water to proof it back down when it comes off the still. So we proof it back down to 117. And then if we are putting it in a blend, they get 96, we use water again. We would put up the barrels we never sourced. What you taste from Driftless Glen, we've made here.
Okay, so stop right there. You've never sourced.
Well, none of our whiskeys are sourced.
Your whiskey.
Our brandy, which we actually state on the label,
Sure.
is a 5-year brandy that we get out of France.
Okay.
And then we age it in our bourbon barrels for another year.
Okay.
But our core dark products are all made right here
On your still.
on our still, with nobody else doing anything to it. Our guys doing it. So what we did is that we made a conscious decision not to source, because we didn't want to put a product in our bottle and put our name on it. Because if we did, and let's just say there's 2 scenarios. A, the people loved it, and then in 3 years they get our product and they're like, oh, it's not the same, they drop us. Or they try the product and don't like us, and in 3 years when we bring out our new product, they don't try us. So we took the hard end and decided to put up the whiskey and just bite the bullet and spend the money and store it. And then we released it when it was ready. And at this point now, we're at the stage where any of our single barrels are all 5-year plus.
So all your single barrels are.
All our single barrels are 5-year plus. Our blends that we blend of different barrels are 4 plus.
Okay.
So you're not getting nothing young from us.
So anything I buy, when I pick up a Driftless Glen bottle of brown spirits, I know that it's made here in Baraboo, Wisconsin.
Absolutely. It's not just made here, it's aged here, and it's bottled here.
And you're doing the blending, is that correct?
Yeah, partially.
Partially.
Yeah, I find all the barrels, I'll taste it first, and then I'm going to run it past a few other people since I'm still relatively new to this.
Sure. You guys can pivot. You guys can make a change.
Very nimble.
So let's talk about that. I mean, because you have this here, which really intrigued me, right? And I can't wait to try it. Do you know how you came up with it, and how did you make the decision to do this?
So we work with a guy that does different cooperages and stuff, and he called us and he says, hey, I have some of these barrels. Would you like to try it? It will have a really nice finish. I don't know. Okay. Oh, sure. Send us a barrel. So that's what we did. I think we only did 2 barrels to start with.
As a test run.
To test run, to see it. So we get we put a 4 or 5 year bourbon in the barrels and let it age another 6 months or more. And then we test it. So we have to have an idea of whether or not we'll like it or not. But we can be, when you talk about nimble, we can be so nimble that if you called me and said, hey, I would like for the holidays a whatever finished bourbon, could you do it? We say, yeah. And we could do it and age it and barrel and bottle it for you. So we can do that sort of stuff, and we can make any kind of, so if we'll say, oh, let's try a port. So I'll go out and I'll say something to Nathan and go, what would you like to try? Or Casey, what kind of barrel would you like to try?
Sure.
And so we had a bunch of different ones that came in, and we realized there was one that we really liked that we want to do again, but the barrels we don't have any available. So as soon as they come available, we'll do it again.
Sure.
So yeah, we have fun doing that. So we have a single malt that we weren't sure if it was going to be something we would distribute, but it's great, so we do. And then we have other things that are here that we just keep right here in-house.
You installed the still, you put it in. Have you had the same distiller, master distiller the entire time?
Nope.
So you've switched distillers.
Yes, so Dave Pickerel gave us the original formulas,
Okay.
mash bills, and we've tweaked them since then. We hired a distiller. Nathan was always here working, the fellow you're going to meet, our master distiller or head distiller.
Okay.
He has been here from the start, but he was not the head distiller. He worked under 2 other people. We had a fellow that was here for about 2 years, and then we had a fellow who was here about 3 months. Maybe it's all I could take of him.
I'm getting the sense that you read people pretty quick.
And then when we got rid of him, we said to Nathan, you already know everything. Why don't you do it? And he's like, but I don't know that I know. I said, okay, well, you can go to any class you want. So there was a big classroom or whatever it is, a distiller's deal up in Denver. And I was like, why don't you go? And I said, you're going to know 2 things. A, you're either going to learn a lot, or B, you're going to learn that you already know it.
Yep.
So there's no fault in going. So he went and he came back and he says, yeah, I learned a little bit, but I think I really know it. And he's been doing it since. And he's great. He's amazing. He's really wonderful.
My name is Nathan Mahensky. I am the head distiller here at Driftless Glen. I am basically half of the production team back here. So we've got me and Sebastian here today. So you can see we're standing over here by my control panel here. I've got a lot of monitoring, and we're running full production today. Bourbon mash for us is a little bit over 6,000 pounds of grain altogether. We're running 2,600 to 3,000 gallon batches. That is being cooked every single day, fermented for 4 to 6 days in one of our 2,600 gallon fermenters, and then distilled. So what I'm doing right now, we've got our 5,000 gallon beer well filled with one of those fermentations. I am pumping from the bottom of this up to the top of our 44-foot column still. We have a 44-foot and 18-inch diameter column still, as well as a 500-gallon pot still. I am pushing 2,600 gallons through this column still in a little over 8 hours. So in a traditional, if we were just distilling in a pot, it would take me an entire week to distill this in a pot still, whereas in a column still, that's why we're using this. It's efficient. What I wind up with is something like 500 gallons at between 120 and 140 fruit off of this column still. I can then refine that in our 500-gallon pot still, and this is where we would be making our heads, hearts, and tails pots. The vast majority of my job is standing in this area, and I've got a lot of monitoring here. Temperatures, all that.
I see you keep looking up there.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
So I'm just keeping an eye on, and you'll see me running up and down, this stairwell throughout the day as well. I'm just right now looking at my hydrometer up there. I've got the spirit safe with the hydrometer floating in that parent, and I can kind of tell my flow, my fruit, That, along with what I'm seeing here, and then just visually inspecting the column sill, is giving me a good idea of where everything's at.
I want to talk a little bit about your bottle because your bottle's kind of unique.
Yep.
There's a unique feature on your bottle that
Yep.
I think a lot of people miss, and they just don't know what it is.
Correct.
And the very first time I saw it, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. I wonder why.
So, again, right. So we have thumbprints on the side of my husband, and my thumbprints are on either side of the bottle. So when we got into the business, we did what we call a recon, and we went into a big alcohol store, and we walked down the aisles to say, what will draw my eye? Why am I going to choose this whiskey?
Right.
If it's not a Jack or Jim or something, why am I choosing this whiskey? Well, sometimes it's just the bottle.
For some people.
So for some people, it's just the bottle.
Yes.
So I wanted to do something unique because we do have a hard name to kind of remember, Driftless Glen. So we have a hard name, and I wanted something iconic so that the person would say, I don't remember the name, but it's the square bottle with the thumbprints on it. And that's why we were coming up with it, and that's why I said, let's do thumbprints. And I know, so now that's one of the things. And Taste the American Spirit is actually a trademark. We have that trademark, which is amazing that nobody has that.
No.
Right. So
Surprising.
yeah. So
And then the windmill,
and the windmill,
which is also embossed on the back,
correct.
or relief.
It's kind of around the area, what you see around this area all the time are the windmills,
Right.
the water, the windmill.
Right. Do you remember what the mold cost you to produce the bottle?
Yeah, I think it was right around $22,000
To produce the mold.
to produce the mold. But what you see is, and I don't think I mentioned this, my husband's a car dealer, and so he's really good with negotiating and doing different things. And when we went to them about the bottle, they said, oh, you don't have to pay for the mold. We'll just put a certain amount on every bottle that you order. And we'll amortize it over your glass
Sure.
forever.
Yeah. Pass.
Big pass, right? So we said, no, we'll just pay for the mold. They're like, really? Yeah, we'll just buy the mold. So the mold is ours. So if we did want to move it, we could. The mold, we own it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's not something that a lot of craft distillers can do.
No, they don't. That's what I'm saying. We've done a few things to try to make us a little unique.
Tell me about your bottling process. Are you doing it all by hand?
For the most part, we have a semi-automated system, so we have a rinser that'll rinse out any materials left over from shipping, a 6-head gravity filler that'll fill the bottles to the exact fill line, corker that'll shoot a cork in each bottle, automatic labeler, front and back side, and then as well as printing. And then everything after that's by hand. So that used to be a little bit more labor-intensive process. For the first year and a half, I filled every single bottle by hand on a little tiny filler. I did about 100,000 bottles by hand on that little thing before we got this automated line.
How many cases per month or per year are you putting out?
How many cases are we putting out?
I think total it was about 20,000 last year.
What we sold last year?
Yeah.
It was about 28.
28? Okay.
We did 28,000.
You hear all the time about grain to glass, right? So tell me about your ingredients and where you get it.
Yeah, so we try to stay as local as possible, definitely within the Midwest. We have somebody that we work with in Illinois who sources all of our grains for us, and then we use Breeze. We get all of our grains in super sacks, and it's all pre-ground for us. But yeah, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, as local as possible. Yeah.
Do you use a sour mash process or sweet mash?
Sweet.
Sweet mash?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All the time, all the way through?
Yep.
Okay.
And we are 100% sustainable. So the grain that you see here, when it goes through the still, it goes through a separator, Wesselfeinick separator, and the grain is pushed out into a trailer, and the water goes into a tanker that gets hauled out to an anaerobic digester. So then they reuse that for energy. The grain goes to our local farmers, and the cows come running.
Why is it that you think you can make a whiskey or a bourbon that competes with the big boys?
Well, that's a great question. Why do I think it? We have an amazing team. We use the best grains. We have a great still. And I think we produce an incredible spirit. And I actually think because we are doing it by hand, it's more unique. And it's I don't want to say it's better, because I certainly don't want to get in trouble with big people, but I think that and it's only a few bucks more from a mass-produced product.
Mm-hmm.
This is all done by hand, artisan.
And that's the thing I don't think a lot of people get, is that this is not an instant turn product, right? I mean...
No, and my husband has the most patience, because there'll be sometimes, like our single malt, people will try it and say, you should release it now. He goes, no, I'm not releasing it till it's 5 years old. He goes, but it's good, you could release it. No, it's gonna be better.
Right.
We have a 51 rye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's 51% rye, and then there's other products in it. But we got that because we were going to do a Rock Rye, a flavored rye whiskey to get to the young people, the next Jaeger or red.
Sure.
Yeah. So, a cute story about how we got this product, which is one of our core products. So we had to do a high rye mash bill. So we did this, and when we ran it through, we only needed a little bit of liquid to try to send it out to a flavoring company to play with flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what did we do? The rest of it, we stuck it in barrels. We got 9 barrels, and we stuck it in the rack house. So they lost the sample. Okay? Well, we had to do another run. And we did another run, and we grabbed another small sample, and we weren't really smart because we didn't take extra out of it just in case there was a problem. But we sent it off, and the flavors were not what we liked, and guess what? We needed more product. So we have to do a third run of it now. He's just laughing. Okay? The stories of a distillery. So we do a third run, and so we now have 27 barrels that are aging in the rack house. And we did the Rock Rye, and we did the flavor profiles, and it really wasn't a product. We ended up basically not doing it. And in about 2 years, we said, hey, let's try that. And it is so delicious. And I think it was the first spirit that won us Distillery of the Year.
Really?
Yeah.
Not a happy accident.
A happy accident. That can happen. Yeah.
Running a distillery, you never know
You never know.
what's gonna...
No, there's a lot of stuff that we can try and play with.
And patience.
Yeah, and patience, a lot of patience.
How many expressions do you have?
Almost 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 20 expressions. Can you name them all?
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 vodkas, we have 4 gins. So we have a normal vodka, our premium. We have a cucumber vodka, lemon vodka, and our newest cranberry vodka. Then we have a Wisconsin, our double cask gin, Navy strength gin, New American gin. Then we get into our dark stuff. So we have our brandy, 51 rye, our straight bourbon whiskey, our single barrel straight bourbon whiskey, our single barrel straight bourbon whiskey at cask strength. Then we have our straight rye whiskey, our single barrel rye whiskey, our single barrel rye whiskey at cask strength. And then we do our bourbon Dana Ranha, a wheated bourbon, our American single malt, our port finish bourbon, and a few other exclusive limited releases.
How's that?
Well done. That's impressive.
Yeah.
She knows because she does all of the marketing for all.
Yeah, that's impressive. I have 4 kids, and I'm lucky I can name all in order. That's impressive.
Yeah, no, so we have quite a few products.
I love
Something
it.
for everybody.
Yeah. So it's just like we have a wheated bourbon. I'm not sure if we have any barrels coming out right now.
It'll be another 2 years.
Not for a while,
Be
yeah.
ready.
But we released, I think we had 50 barrels that we released last year, right? 50? We saved 10 to make a 10-year-old whiskey, 10-year-old wheat.
Mm.
But that was a surprise for a lot of people because they were like, oh my God, this wheated bourbon, it is comparable to any of the big boys. So it was,
And it's especially good for people who are just getting into whiskey. It's like a softer, sweeter expression of our normal bourbon. So it's people who haven't been in the whiskey world as long find that they liked it a lot. It was a really good entry way for them.
You have a full restaurant here on site,
yes.
right? So let's talk about that real quick. I have some questions for you, Casey, but before we get into that, and that's going to lead into our question and answer, Casey. So tell me about the restaurant.
So the restaurant, I want to say it's 5 stars, probably 4.8 star restaurant. It's a distillery cuisine. So we use our spirits in a lot of the products. Our chef has unique dishes, like we have a shrimp and grits with a
Renee's favorite.
it's like it's a new one. The
Sauce in it is made with our bourbon. So yeah.
Really?
Yes. We have a brandy glazed salmon. You have a rye rigatoni. It's great. So yeah, we have and the desserts. Our bread pudding is to die for. We have the bourbon glazed sauce and everything.
Love bread pudding.
Constant.
Oh, you do?
I love.
Oh, wow. I have to try it.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I absolutely love bread pudding.
Okay, well,
I can make a meal out of that. Just to,
well, you would in our place because it comes out like about that.
oh my God.
It's not a little piece of bread pudding.
So your restaurant, is he a chef? Is he a short order cook?
Chef.
He's a chef.
It's a chef. Yeah.
So it's not just
No.
burgers and fries.
No,
We don't have any fryers.
Yeah, we have no fryer.
No fryer.
We don't do fries.
In Wisconsin, we have no fryer. Again, unique, right?
Unique, indeed. You guys have a single barrel program, correct? So tell me a little bit about that, what you do with it, and how it works, if you can.
Yeah, we have a very robust single barrel program. I think last year we did probably 300 of them. So we offer it to any store, any whiskey group that wants to come and pick a single barrel of either bourbon or rye. And we give them 3 different samples. We let them choose. They taste through it and they pick the one that they want and they get all of the cases from it. We usually add a sticker to the front, a little circle in here. And then they get the empty barrel as well with it, and they'll put it in their store. So we do a lot with chains like Total Wine, Festival Foods, Woodman's, and then a lot of the smaller guys too. We've had bars, restaurants, independent liquor stores, and then a lot of whiskey groups choose them.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So they can come and pick a barrel. And
Yeah, very fun experience.
Yeah, and Bethany works with them on doing their little stickers and sometimes
on it. Yeah.
she does all of that for them.
And so you allow stickers. So if a club wants to put a sticker on,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen some creative ones.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that. Okay, so we're standing in the non-temperature controlled rack house, right?
Yes.
And we're about to tap a 7-year-old bourbon. It's like just over 7 years, right? So date's 5/4/16.
Yep.
All right.
Right over.
Now we're gonna try this right out of the barrel.
Yep. Straight into the Glencairns at entry proof, 117.2. It's gonna be a little hot. All right, ready? So we're gonna start. Get a couple Glencairns here.
All right.
I'm gonna drill a hole in the top for some airflow, another one in the bottom to drain into our glasses here, and then I'm gonna plug it up with these little wood spiles, sorry.
Okay. I'll let you do your thing.
Yep, start at the top. It's gonna be airflow. I'm gonna get a little on the floor. Start straight into there. All right, one for you there. So I'm just gonna hammer those in there to seal up the barrel.
Oh, wow. there's vanilla and, oh my Lord, that smells delicious.
It's one of my favorite age ranges here. The 2300s are some of the best barrels I think we put out personally.
Goodness. Wow. Vanilla, caramel, I'm getting some floral out of this. Light, oh, the oak on this is delicious. I can't wait to sample this. This is delicious. The balance on this, the mouthfeel on this is great. Oh my Lord, how do you keep from not getting drunk?
I keep it to a minimum in here. If I'm doing barrel samples, I'll pull them into special bottles, a little bit smaller, and I'll take them over into the distillery, and that way you can kind of limit yourself to just a tad every single one.
And is this your flagship bourbon?
Yes, it is. Yep, so that's gonna be either put out as a single barrel to our single barrel program, or it's gonna be blended with about 8 to 12 others and put into our batch.
I love the aromas I'm getting out of this. Oh my goodness. The mouthfeel, it just coats the mouth. There's such a balanced flavor on this.
It's one of my favorite parts of my job. I get to come in here, sample them straight out of the barrels. You get pretty used to this high proof, but even being at 117, still very smooth.
It doesn't taste like it's 117.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste anywhere close to 117. I mean, if I were doing this blind, I would guess at around 100. That is amazing.
Yeah, typically we're gonna cut them down to 96 proof to be put into bottles, but I'd say this one pretty good. So this could be put straight into a bottle at cask strength.
Oh, and the finish on this is delicious. Well, if you ever get a chance to stop here at Driftless Glen and sample right out of a barrel, I can't encourage you enough to say, yes, let me do that. You said you're in 24 states.
Yeah,
Can you name off all 24 states?
I can try my best. You don't want me to Jen.
Let's try it.
We're in California, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, Florida, South Carolina, Delaware, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, and then we're about to go into Georgia.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay.
That's
Close.
okay.
Oh, Tennessee, Kentucky.
Yes,
Kentucky.
That's 24.
There we go.
And
Yeah.
George coming online your sort.
Yes.
Plus the UK
And Germany.
and Germany.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's pretty good distribution.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, real good distribution. All right, so where do they find you? How,
Yeah.
And how do
So-
somebody hook up with you?
Yeah, our website is driftlessglen.com, and we have a map on there that you can search and find bottles near you in your state. And then we also are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Our username is Driftless Glen on all of them. And then if you want to email us, it's info@driftlessglen.com, and you can call us as well, 608-356-4536.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Great American Whiskey Cookers. Renee, Bethany, Casey, thanks for showing us around and opening up your distillery. This was a phenomenal day. Truly enjoyed it, and tapping that barrel, the whiskey was phenomenal. Loved every minute of it. You can find them at driftlessglen.com. You can find them on the socials at Driftless Glen. You can find us at thegreatamericanwhiskeycookers.com. Until next time, if you can't be good at it. See ya.
But I want him to do in front of you again.
Well, no, because then we see the
Take number
number.
8.
Hey, whiskey's all out, sitting around, enjoying it with your friends and sharing it, which is what we're doing here. Join our Patreon page, and you never know, you might get invited out here to have some whiskey, play some games, and just have a good time. When you do join our Patreon site, you'll get access to exclusive content and some behind-the-scenes footage. Until next time, if you can't be good at it. See ya.
If you make it in the drink, what is that game, or is that like you lose? With this stuff,
Dad, have
it's
you tried
probably
this?
you lose.
No. Come here and try this.
Which one is it?
This is Beer Barrel Bourbon. This is one of my favorite craft whiskeys.